a representative of my country, I'm already upset enough that we have an orange-tinged man-baby coming around representing us. So why do you want to go to the land that represents him? Why? Why do you want to do that?
Meet Palle Bo, a digital nomad from Denmark on an epic journey around the world. At the age of 50, he made a bold decision. He sold everything, his house, his car, his furniture, and set out with a quest to visit every single country in the world, documenting everything along the way. This is the Radio Vagabond Podcast.
Welcome back to the Radio Vagabond Podcast. In this episode, I'll continue my chat with my Couchsurfing hosts, Maureen and Tracie, here in Memphis, Tennessee. And my next Couchsurfing host will take me for a drive around the city, and we'll be talking a lot about the city and its problems. Another thing that Memphis is known for is that it's the place where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was killed, just after giving his famous mountaintop speech exactly 50 years ago.
Well, I don't know what will happen now.
In this speech, it was as if he knew what was going to happen.
We've got some difficult days ahead, but it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain.
It happened on the morning of April 4th at Lorraine's Motel here in Memphis. Today, the motel is a part of the complex National Civil Rights Museum.
It's powerful and it's well done, and there's a lot of interactive stuff.
Yeah. So if you go on the bus that's inside there, the Rosa Parks bus, sit in the front, and the driver.
The bus where?
The bus. Rosa Parks was the woman who refused to move to the back of the bus.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a replica of a bus. And you can go and sit in the front seat or front seats, and the driver will tell you, I mean, it's not an actual person, but recording will tell you to move to the back and just stay where you are. And he gets more aggressive and, yelling at you, like, to kind of replicate her experience. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So don't move.
Right.
Stay in the front.
Go in there and do that.
I need that seat now. Please move back. If you can sit there on other buses, suppose you get off and into one of them. If you don't move out of that seat, I'll have you arrested. Get up from there.
In 1955, if you had not moved by this point, you would be arrested.
We're doing the same thing.
You're listening to the Radio Vagabond Podcast. Before we continue, I want to remind you that I have a Facebook page where I share a lot of thoughts, pictures, and videos. You'll find it by going to facebook.com/PalaRadioVagabond. But apart from the tourist sites, what kind of city is Memphis? Is it a quiet place? Is it a safe place?
Well, it's a poor city.
It's a poor city?
Very poor. There's a lot of poverty in Memphis, and so with poverty often comes crime. So there's a lot of petty crime in some neighborhoods.
Want to make sure your car's
right,
got stuff in it.
Right. And I mean, a long history of racism.
Are there
and systemic.
like shootings like I hear in St. Louis as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is the
right.
thing.
I don't think it happens every single day. I don't know how many homicides did we have last year. I don't remember. I don't know if we had as many as there are days in the year.
No, maybe close. So we really, it is the saddest thing, but and we do talk about it because it's real, but it happens not exclusively, but almost exclusively in poor black neighborhoods, right? Because there's just a lot of street crime and it's just stupid stuff too. It's people have guns and they don't have maturity and anger management, and they anger management skills, and they shoot each other. So most of it is in really poor, and in this case in Memphis, the poor neighborhoods are mostly black, not all, right? Because in the United States, there are way more poor white people. So tonight in Memphis, somebody will probably die. I'm from Montana, where maybe in the whole state, there's not that death rate in a year. I don't know, because there's less than 1 million people in the whole state of Montana. So it's a dangerous city if you live in a poor neighborhood. Some poor people, especially if they're younger, are out on the streets. We're an urban environment. People don't have anything else to do. And so people do get, there are muggings and carjackings and stuff in Memphis. Those are not as common. Really, like we're not very likely to be victims of crime. I've been here 30 years, and I've never been a victim of crime. But if
cars get broken into in our neighborhood, it's people looking for a little bit of money. Looking for loose change, looking for anything they might be able to sell. Right.
So because we're right on they're poor neighbor. If you drive 3 blocks west and 3 blocks south from there, you will be in one of the poorest neighborhoods you'll ever be in a year.
So I wouldn't want to go there, say, at night.
You wouldn't, but statistically nothing would happen to you, actually, right? Okay. It's not like they're over there fighting, and it's just that, you'd have a better, more of a chance of being mugged there than here, but still you're probably not going to be mugged there, if that makes sense, right? Because this is a city of 1 million people, and there may be one shooting tonight. Right. Excuse me. Right? So that could be anywhere in the city. Right. So statistically, we are all, everyone is safe. But there are areas where you're a little less safe. And, people are careful about what neighborhoods they go through, right? So we would try to avoid being in really poor but it's also that there's no reason for us to do that, right? It's not like we have to think to avoid it, because we're not going there at night. But what's also so sad is it's the minority, right, of people anywhere who are committing these crimes, and the people in those neighborhoods who live there are trapped, right? Because they're poor and they can't just move away. Plus their families there,
And in Memphis and in a lot of cities, it's just generational poverty. So they're
so much so.
That they're used to it. They're used to kind of getting by and living in poverty.
That's right. And
don't often see a way out of it.
That's right. And they don't see a way to avoid that crime. Right. They can't just maybe they own their house, or maybe they're just renting, but they can't. There's so much racism that there's risk in them trying to move out, right? Will a landlord accept them? There's the odds are against poor people, right? And then if you are a poor person of color,
it's tough.
It's exponentially more difficult, So yes, there's crime, and that's a real negative. But there's all this other sort. It's not more important tragedy, but it's people are suffering, not just because of the crime, but because they're suffering because they can't. Our government, can't, and our society has not found a solution for this poverty. You know.
But coming from a country that has completely different standards in terms of the gun laws.
Oh my God!
It's unthinkable that people, unless they're a hunter, would own a gun, have a gun in their home.
I wish it was unthinkable here.
Yeah,
but it's in the Constitution. So
that's right.
Right. The militia, you know, bearing, it specifically talks about as a militia. And we don't have any need for militia anymore. When the Constitution was written, there was no formalized military. So they had to have militias. They had to have citizens forming militias, and those militias had to be armed. But we don't have that anymore. We've got a military. You know, if we have a crisis, the military
hold up
come.
in court.
No, he doesn't.
Well,
I mean,
no,
it's
because the gun lobbyists are gonna.
It's crazy how many people. I mean, some of the shootings that will happen in this week, you know, these few days that you're here, are happening because kids. So 3 weeks ago, a 77-year-old man in Memphis was shot to death in his own house by a bullet that came through his house because 3 teenagers were target practicing in their home behind his home because they had guns. Last week or the week before, a 3-year-old boy was shot, killed with a gun that he was playing with. Now, I haven't kept up with the news, so it could be that. Anyhow, that's the story that I heard. Anyway, so 3-year-old kid killed because he was playing with a gun. I mean, this stuff happens in rural. It just happens in the United States way more than it should, and it happens a lot in Memphis because people are. It's urban and they're bored. So when I say urban, I mean like we're in a city and people don't have anything to do, so they just do shenanigans and stuff. I grew up on a farm.
They don't have cows to milk.
They don't have cows to milk. They don't have work to do, right? They have TV to watch. They don't have lawns to mow.
Guns to shoot.
But they have guns to shoot. Really, that's. So. I don't know. So the gun thing, it's really, really nuts. And
I hate guns.
It's just, I'm not really anti-gun, but I'm anti people owning military assault weapons, you know, which is what the NRA wants us to continue to allow.
That's another thing I think that the people who wrote the Constitution had no ability to foresee that assault rifles were going to be accessible and in people's homes. I think they might have had an issue with that.
So Nashville, just this week it came out that Nashville is going to disallow gun shows.
Awesome.
And yet the Agri Center here in Memphis is not going to disallow them. They have 3 or 4 gun shows a year. And the guy said, I'm not going to, like the guy who runs the gun shows or the manager of the Agri Center or whatever, he's like, I'm certainly not going to tell people they can't protect their families. And it's like, these kids just killed a 77-year-old guy. This child just died. People are not protecting their families with guns. They're killing their families with guns.
They're killing other families.
You know, and they're killing other people.
I would never have a gun in my house. I'm sure if it came to something, I would accidentally shoot myself in the foot, or he would take it away from me. Or
I mean, most people really aren't prepared to have a gun in their house. Most people who have a gun in their house aren't really prepared for it. And so, you know, accidents are going to happen, or it's going to get taken from them, just like you said. Like, somebody's going to be able to get it away from them.
So it's people in the United States often think, oh, this is the best country in the world. And in so many ways, it's so behind and so wrong, you know. our educational system can certainly be improved, and on and on and on, right? And the guns are really a big issue, politically. And you see in European countries just such little crime. And if people are assaulted, it's with a knife or something, that happens in England or whatever.
Exactly. I'm about to go for a drive around the city with Justine, my new Couchsurfing host. Like Tracie and Maureen, she's also a school teacher and not a big fan of Donald Trump and the people who voted for him. This will reflect in the conversation we have. And this is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
So it's been a short tour. I'll show you some of the sections that Memphisites go to and show you a little bit around.
You didn't grow up here. You're from far away. A totally different kind of.
I am not a Southerner. I live in the South, but I am not a Southerner. There's a huge distinction there. I will always be not a Southerner who lives in the South.
And this is something that you really need to be third generation in order to be really accepted, or
and wear pink frosting lipstick and
a funny hairdo.
Yeah, I should be in makeup right now. I should be wearing some jeggings and all of that.
Oh, you look good. You look good.
I don't, but that is a great lie, and I appreciate it. So thank you. Now I'm going to show you how quickly neighborhoods can change. So we were in what we call Vecca, and now we're going into.
And it was a very nice residential area.
It's kind of a blue collar working class area, but I want to.
Oh, really?
Yes, I want to show you. So we're going to do a little bit around the block-ish thing here. As soon as I find the street.
I wouldn't have guessed blue collar. I would say it's
good,
nice.
Good. I mean, I think you could call a teacher blue collar, right? Because we don't make that much money. Okay, so that was Vecca. Now we're in Overton Square. Well, Overton Park.
The houses are getting bigger.
They're getting much bigger, and this was not the correct street, but we're getting near it. I think I got to go over here. Different tax bracket here. Anyone living in Memphis pays very high taxes. My little house, I pay about $6,000 a year in taxes. Which, let me find the street that I'm trying to get to. So, yeah, bigger houses, I think.
Bigger houses, but very close, actually.
I like the fact that I have more yard space.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel very secluded. I'll just drive around like this. Okay, well, on the way back, I'm going to show you these grand houses. There's only one street. I'm very ritualized, so if I change my pattern of driving, then I get confused, and I always see it from coming home. But we're heading now towards Poplar, and I'm going to turn left on Poplar. That's the main street, so that takes you all the way to the end of downtown to East Memphis. The further east you go, the whiter it becomes, because in the 60s there was a lot of white flight away from downtown Memphis. It became very black. And now there is an emphasis on young urban professionals, everyone moving back downtown, and so I am hopeful for my city that it's going to, I think there's a lot of potential here, but all the whites moved out 40 years ago, 50 years ago.
Is there very much a racial, do you mingle?
I do, but Southerners will not.
No?
No. If you go to a party, it's going to be all white or all black. And if it's a mixed place, it's because people like me who live in the South but are not Southerners.
Uh-huh. What about the schools?
My school is private, and we do have black students, but my school also costs $26,000 a year. So one of the things to keep in mind about Memphis, and I did not know this till I moved here, so this is Poplar, is that this is a major hub for pediatric medicine. Unless your kid has cancer or needs heart surgery, you wouldn't know it, but people come from all over the world when their kids have cancer or need heart surgery, because we have St. Jude's and Lee Bonner. So
yeah, I hear that there's a free hospital that treats cancer kids.
yes, that's St. Jude's.
Yeah.
So my school, which has a black population, it's because 90% of the parents there are doctors. That's where I was. Yeah. So if you see, and this is a very black and white city, there's not a large ethnic diversity. Like I used to live in Seattle, huge Asian population. You don't have that here. If you see Asians or if you see Africans or Indians, you might as well go up to them and say, hello, doctor, because I guarantee you they're a doctor.
Okay.
This episode is brought to you in part by Hotels25.com. It's a website that helps you find the best prices on hotels and guest houses and hostels around the world in one simple search. Hotels25.com. It's best price guaranteed.
This is Overton Park over here. This is our big city park. And they have free concerts in the Shell on Saturday nights, which is really nice. And big names come there. So the concerts are not, Aretha Franklin played there.
No.
She did. Now, you tell me, what's better than the Queen of Soul for free in a park?
Wow.
I cut that corner close for you just because
Thank you.
You're James Bond, so
Yeah.
they copied my door. 3 teachers from my school on this street the week before Christmas, they were crossing the street. We have a problem. We don't have enough street lights, even though you see them here. These are recently put in, and I think one of the reasons they did it is they were crossing this street on a green turning red, and one of the 3 teachers got hit by a car turning left. Legally, you didn't see her. She died.
No.
She was 22.
No.
A week before Christmas. Yeah, it was very hard, very tragic.
So you think that maybe they put up more
I think since
lights
then,
because
yes.
of that accident?
Yes.
Yeah.
A city of 625,000 or so. So it's small. We have 15 private schools.
Okay.
Well, what that means is that everybody who can afford it is sending their kid to a private school because the public schools are a nightmare and they're all black.
The public schools are really bad.
Terrible. And it's a race issue as well. The poorest blacks all go to the public schools. All the white kids are going to the private schools. Of those 15 private schools, mine is the only one that is not affiliated with a church. It's because you're in the Bible Belt here.
Yeah. I spoke to my previous hosts, and they teach in a university, and that's a Catholic university, but both of them are atheist, and it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
The religion factor isn't a big deal.
And the university is a little bit different from the high school.
Yeah, you teach at a high school.
Yes.
So it's like morning prayer and stuff like that?
Well, we're not affiliated with a church,
Okay.
but if we were, then yes, we would. Okay, so now we're heading into the Cooper Young district, which is also known for Memphis's gay district. And I want to point that out just to say we do have some liberals. It tries to be progressive.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice houses here, but you notice how close together they are?
Yeah.
Okay, so would you like to see some poorer neighborhoods?
Yeah. Are we going to Alabama?
No, we're not. But we're gonna go someplace. I'm gonna take you. If I can.
No, seriously, Justine. You said before I turned on the microphone, why do I want to go to Alabama? So, why shouldn't I?
Because it's going to show you the worst that America can offer, and as a representative of my country, I'm already upset enough that we have an orange-tinged man baby coming around representing us. So why do you want to go to the land that represents him? Why? Why do you want to do that? Okay, and so if you want to do that, I can't stop you, but I think you should get a better feel for how neurotic and crazy it is. Florida is more intense because you're going to be speaking to the Cuban Americans who voted for him, and it's just going to blow your mind. So there you have it.
Okay.
I'm going to the Danish National Front next time. I've never been to Denmark, but I'm going to go talk to them. I'm going to say, you sent me. In all fairness, you went to Alabama. I should talk to them.
Please don't.
Well, yeah. Okay, now you know how I feel.
Yeah, now I know. Yeah.
I'll ask them. Tell me about immigration. What do you think? I'll let them. I'll just record them. I'll let them speak for Denmark. Yeah. And just for those who can't see, he cringed when I said that. So now he understands.
Yeah.
All right. So we have many bad neighborhoods to choose from, but I'm going to try one, and I don't really know where I'm going. We're just going to drive into it and not get out of the car. Okay.
And you didn't bring a gun?
No, I have them in the house.
Okay.
You can talk to them. I'm sure they voted for Trump.
Really?
Got the American flag out there. It's a dead giveaway.
Okay.
I think you should knock on their door with the microphone and introduce yourself. Say you're from Denmark.
Just because they have the American flag?
Look, I know my culture and my country, so yes.
Okay. Interesting. That's kind of sad that you can't...
There's another Trump supporter right there.
You can't have the American flag out?
Because I am more of a patriot than they are. I don't want to be part of Russia. But yes, they go talk to them. Go talk to them. There's another one right there.
This is not the bad neighborhood.
No.
The houses are pretty nice here.
Yes.
But it's the American flag is not the Southern flag, because that's really racist, right?
First of all, I'm going to kill this person behind me if she keeps tailgating me, and then you can watch.
Okay. Sure you didn't bring a gun?
No, they're all in the house.
Seriously, do you have guns in the house?
I'm an American. Of course I do.
Really? I can't tell if you're joking.
What was I going to say? What did you just ask me?
I don't know, before tailgating.
You're overwhelmed.
This episode is brought to you in part by Hotels25.com. It's a website that helps you find the best prices on hotels and guest houses and hostels around the world in one simple search. Hotels25.com. It's best price guaranteed.
If you like this podcast, please subscribe in iTunes or the podcast app on your smartphone. You can see pictures, watch videos, and read much more on theradiovagabond.com. Pale can be reached for interviews and public speaking gigs on mail at theradiovagabond.com.
And now I'm going to Alabama. Sorry, Justine, I am. My name is Palabo, and I gotta keep moving. See ya.